There we go. All right. Let some participants come in here. Thank you everyone for attending the webinar today. We'll give it just about a minute or so. Lots of folks still trickling in. Thank you for joining in. I will take the time here to welcome on our panelists. So I want to welcome on Mark Dankler, president of NSRA, one of our strategic partners here at Management One, and Miss Leslie Parks, senior manager of account strategy at CommentSold.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Thank you for joining us today. So a little bit of preface before we get into the content here. If you were privileged enough to join us in Las Vegas in February, we actually had, at our exclusive cocktail party, we had Leslie in person, and she sat down on a panel to discuss this exact topic. And Mark happened to be in the audience, and the first thing that hit his head was, I need this content in front of my members, essentially to help them either get started or improve their business through the use of social commerce. So we wanted to put together this session today to go over some of the tactics and tools that retailers, not only in the footwear space, but across the independent retail space, what they're doing with social commerce to help increase their revenue in 2022. Before we get to that, for the folks that have gone on our webinars before, we were using GoToWebinar in the past. We are using Zoom now, but the platform does allow for questions. So please, at the bottom of your screen there, if you do have a question towards the end, use that Q&A button and submit some questions for our panel, and we will be answering them live here. We are also recording this, so if you do need to leave early, if you want to share this with your team, I will be sending a recording out after this, including some contact info for Leslie and Mark if you guys do have some follow-up questions that come up. So who is Management One? If you're not familiar with what we do here, our purpose is actually to provide financial security for our people, our clients, and our affiliates. And we do that through a focus around merchandise intelligence and education for independent retailers like these sessions here. We operate under a set of core values, including a generous heart, courage, curiosity, adaptability, commitment, and collaboration with our partners here. And one of the things that I love about working here at Management One is we get to work with so many folks. A lot of times we have our heads in the inventory management space, so it's great to branch out with people in spaces outside of our own. So we love connecting with folks like the NSRA, new partners like CommentSold, and we're constantly searching for new partners to help empower the independent retail community. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing here in this session. So let's talk briefly about social commerce. What is it exactly? There's e-commerce, there's omni-channel. Social commerce, simply enough, is just the process of selling your products directly through social media channels. The end conversion could result in a website sale, but essentially most of that transaction is going to result in a social channel of some kind, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And how does that play into the overall brand experience for your customers? You know, way back in the day, like 5 years ago, people considered their brick and mortar store to be really at the center of their universe. And recently, we've really been trying to get people to realize that now in this new climate, your brick and mortar store is really just one of the other satellite communication and connection points for your overall brand. And that can include anything from your brick and mortar store, maybe your online advertising, maybe your internal and external messaging, if you do pop-up stores, and social commerce as well. So we really try to position our customers into thinking about their stores in a totally different way that's much more inclusive of the new digital channels that are out there in the retail landscape. And one of the ones that is surging ahead thanks to the pandemic, but not slowing down at all, would be social commerce. And Forbes actually listed social commerce as one of the 4 trends that's going to shape retail in 2022. We'll get to exactly why that is in a bit, but Accenture predicts social commerce growing 3 times faster than traditional e-commerce. And by 2023, 71% of small businesses do plan to sell on social media. Speaking specifically for footwear, Footwear News just in January of this year released a study from Accenture as well. They did a survey showing that more than half of social buyers said they're more likely to support small and medium-sized businesses through social commerce than when they're shopping just through traditional e-commerce channels. And 63% of them said they are more likely to buy from the same seller again. So that really ties into customer lifetime value and how people are associating themselves with your brand. So I wanted to touch on a couple of the benefits. What is it about social commerce that makes it so attractive? Number one, you get this hyper engaged audience. And I think Leslie can speak to this when she goes into the act of live selling, but it's a much more engaged audience with your exact product. It offers reduced conversion friction. So if somebody's looking at the specific product that they want to buy then and there, you're reducing that friction and making it a much more seamless transaction from beginning to end using social commerce. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I didn't realize until I started doing some research was the return rates can be up to 40% lower just because people have so much more exposure to the product itself. They can see, for footwear, they can see 360-degree views of the product. They can see how it looks on a foot. They can see how it functions, whether it's on a treadmill or how it works with different outfits here and there. And they go into the buying process much more educated on the product itself, which results in a lower return rate. There's much more increased shopper intent through scarcity. A lot of live sells can see products sell out pretty quickly. So people get trained to buy quickly before the product sells out. At Management One, we talk to our customers a lot about the idea of failing fast. And that's if you buy a product that just doesn't sell very well, you want to know that quicker as opposed to having it sit on your shelf for months and months. And what live selling and social commerce can provide are these rapid focus groups. So you'll know much quicker if you have a winner or a loser. And if it's a loser, then we can start either marking it down or beginning the process of moving it out of the store. And the other benefit is the large growth potential for social commerce in the next 5 years that we went over before. So some of the myths that we come up against with social and live selling, we wanted to kind of dispel a lot of those here today, and we can go into that in our Q&A a little bit later. But one of the things that I hear a lot is, oh, this is just something for the big box players. Only large brands can really do this effectively. And we've seen just in our own client base, and Leslie, I'm sure for you as well, this is not a large brand play at all. We have stores that are literally a two-person operation, operating millions of dollars a year just out of social selling. One of the next ones is that you need a large professional crew and a studio setup. Also not true. If you have a phone, you have a studio, and you can live sell directly from, if you want to have a setup in your warehouse, if you want to maybe devote a corner of your store, it does not have to be a huge production. The other one is you can't really drive engagement without a celebrity or an influencer. Also not true. We have some of our clients who literally became their own influencer, and they're almost like low-key celebrities with their audience, which really has a double benefit, getting them hyper engaged not only with the brand, but the products themselves. So I would absolutely encourage people, and it really goes back to authenticity. People will connect if what you're telling them is resonating. So really know your audience and connect with your audience on that personal level, and they will come back. Another myth is that this is really just for beauty and fashion. Also not true. We operate with clients in a lot of different verticals, and every single vertical has a live stream application that you can apply to social commerce. Finally, everybody thinks now that the pandemic is over and people are out and about, the social selling hype kind of dropped down a little bit. And you can see from the graph that we put out there before, also not true. In fact, it's even gaining more steam. There's new channels like TikTok with their integration into Shopify. This is only going to get more and more ingrained with as many social channels as they can onboard. So before we get into the actual live selling bit, I did also want to mention that it doesn't have to just be a live stream. Social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram also offer buying opportunities in their shops. So if you're operating on one of your social channels right now and you don't have your product catalog loaded into Instagram and Facebook, I would say that's step one before you even start trying to do a live sell. Get your products loaded onto those social channels, and you can at least start breaking down some of that conversion friction in, for example, on the screenshot here on Instagram. If you're doing live lifestyle photos, make them shoppable. Why not remove that barrier? If somebody sees something in an image that they want to buy, give them the opportunity to buy it right then and there. And finally, video. A lot of static photos still floating around on many channels, which is fine, but I would definitely encourage people to include a video strategy in their social media if they haven't already. People engage with it for a lot longer than a static photo. More time spent with your brand, the more time that they're looking at your video. You have a lot more flexibility, especially with footwear as well, showing people how the shoe interacts with the customer, how it looks with different outfits with a video than you do with a static image. And Facebook actually allows you to create custom audiences. If you guys are diving deeper into your ad strategy, you can create custom audiences based on how long people watch your specific videos. So obviously, if you can get somebody past the 10 to 15 second mark, that's a win in today's attention span era. If you can get them past 8 seconds, that's a win. And you want to make sure that you're advertising to those folks that are spending that much time with your videos. And finally, don't focus on production value. We said it earlier. This is not about having a polished commercial for your brand. This is about getting very authentic and very real with your audience. So live streaming, one of the major pieces of social commerce that we're going to be talking about today. And that market is looking to reach $11 billion just this year alone. And it's going to be steadily growing, accounting for $35 billion in sales by 2024, based on a research study done by Coresight. And if you look at who is actually buying on social media, no surprise, it's the younger generation that's a little more engaged, but really look down at the bottom there. And this poll that was ran here in Insider Intelligence last year, even users that were polled in the 65 plus demographic are still, about a third of them are still buying in social media. So it's not just something that's going to be up and coming. This is here now. People are using it across a wide variety of demographics, and it is only going to grow. So I think I've probably spoken enough on this topic. I want to bring our panel in here to discuss the tips and tricks that people are doing with live streaming. So we'll start first, Leslie, with you and CommentSold. Tell us a little bit about just the process of using CommentSold and the process of live streaming.
Definitely. So CommentSold we are really known for our live capabilities and being able to enable retailers to go live and being able to go live across multiple channels using a single device. However, that's not where we stop. You can use CommentSold as a full service e-commerce solution, but that process of specifically going live with CommentSold, it is seriously just as easy as earlier Nico mentioned, kind of debusting some of these myths of needing to have a full studio and like this really beautiful presentation. So not true. He's completely correct when he said, as long as you have a cell phone, you're golden. You actually would download an app onto your iOS or Android device. So you can use this no matter where you stand on either side of that line. And it's called CommentSold Broadcasting app. And through using that single app on your single device, you would be able to go live in as many places such as your Facebook business page, your Facebook group, your mobile app, if that were something that you decided to pursue with CommentSold, a website with CommentSold. And actually, this was just announced externally yesterday, so I can share it here as well. Coming towards the end of this summer, we will also build in TikTok and Instagram capabilities as well. So that's 6 separate channels that you'll be able to stream from one single device.
That's awesome. Yeah, and the fact that TikTok partnered with Shopify, a lot of the customers that we have here do use Shopify as their e-com platform. So these channels are only going to get more and more intertwined. So that's great that you guys are integrating with TikTok as well.
Yeah, we're super excited. That came out just yesterday, actually, after we synced, Nico.
Awesome. Congrats. That's a good one. That's a big win for you guys and for clients.
Well, especially Instagram, that's growing as a platform to sell. So that's
Absolutely.
just natural that you're picking that up. TikTok, I don't know as many people selling on that platform, but you know, that's a new one coming up. I mean, this whole thing has evolved. I mean, if you think about it, live selling came in with cable, QVC, Home Shopping Network. And I think what you said, Leslie, it makes it authentic. I mean, if you think of the movie Joy, if people saw that, the girl in there, it didn't sell with just the celebrity. But when she went in there and she knew her product, what it could do, then they started to sell. And, you know, I think one of the questions somebody has, it is hard to predict your inventory because if you're live selling, like especially in shoes, we tend to buy low and then fill in if we can't. Fill-ins aren't necessarily here anymore because you're doing more future ordering, but you have to have enough product. But then if you don't have the product, it's still there to sell in your brick and mortar store. This is just live selling is just a natural progression. I think most people, they wanted to be experiential in their store. Then the pandemic, well, how do I get to my customer? I can do curbside, but how do I show them? So everybody linked in through Shopify or did their web pages, but this is the natural next step. Yeah. And it's always younger people deriving the future of technology, and we need to keep up with that.
Yeah, and it really goes back to the whole ecosystem of shopping your actual brand. This is just another satellite that people can enter and connect with your brand.
Right.
You are totally correct. Yeah, having that ability to offer your customers the option of going live, as well as making sure that you're covering every single other channel that's just mentioned in that graphic, your website, if you have your brick and mortar, your pop-up, your socials, you want to make sure that we're attracting as many people as we can by meeting as many people where they're at. That's really the key.
Yeah, and as Mark mentioned, it's evolving. It's not just Facebook and Instagram. We're looking at TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, wherever your audience may live. You want to make sure that they have eyeballs towards your brand. But Mark, you had a good question that a lot of your members, the first thing that they're going to ask is, okay, how do I get started? What is step one?
So Leslie, probably being the expert in this field, I mean, how does one start live selling? If it's going to be 35% of sales, what's the first thing for somebody to do? How do they know when to do it?
There's no better time than now, right? And I think one thing, especially for so many of you guys who, yesterday was a perfect time. And I think one thing to keep in mind for so many of you guys who maybe haven't quite dipped your toe into the live selling water yet is go live unboxing some new product that you just received at the store. Go live and just chat with your customer, get to build that relationship, get to know them a little bit more over that form of media, and then you can progress your way into actually selling to them. But really what makes live selling so successful is the relationship building and the fact that you get to sell to your customers in a one-to-one format, but in a way that's scalable. And that's really the core of it. So I would encourage you just pick up your cell phone and go live, open the conversation, and don't worry about the viewers. Don't worry about the comments. You've got to bring your own excitement and your own entertainment. Just open the phone and see who joins you online.
Well, even like with Facebook Live, it's still there forever for people to see. And kind of as we mentioned yesterday, you were at the Dallas market. I mean, a great thing is put your buy out there. I was just recently at e-comm and we had that. I wish we would have thought about it, but do live commenting. This is what's coming in 5 months. Get excited. People will see it, and then they'll be more invested in your company. So it can be, as you said, random. Some stores, one of our stores, Schneider Shoes, just recently received some things from the September e-comm shoe show, and she said it was amazing. She was at e-comm and she's like, oh, they're unboxing things. I was saying, oh, they fit great, they're looking great, but if you could do a little live, once you kind of realize that there's so much excitement there, this is a time to go live.
Absolutely. We see this pretty often with a lot of our clothing retailers at CommentSold. In a past life, I actually was a sales manager for a clothing wholesale brand, and it was every single market we would have retailers in our booth as they're placing their PO, right, with myself. They're going live in their Facebook group, just showing their customer base, hey, you guys, this is what is coming for spring. These are going to be the estimated ship dates for these items. This is when you can roughly expect to be able to purchase these. And you're building up that hype and excitement, and people can start laying their eyes on things that they know they want to purchase also through a live at a later date.
Yeah. And that was, I guess, kind of the live is like what we're talking about right now. That's a marketing advertisement for your store that, oh, I'm at market, this is what we're going to get. But what is, I guess, kind of having a consistent time is very important for live selling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once you get into the space of selling through live, you really want to think of your lives as your own TV show. And that's really the way that your customers will carve time out to watch you. They're going to do that the exact same way they would carve time out to watch Grey's Anatomy, right? Or Love Island, or whatever the trendy show is. And so you really want to find a time that your customers can commit to. I absolutely would recommend, if you're asking yourself the question of like, well, what time is best? Ask your customers. Poll them directly and get their opinion on when they would like to be able to watch you live, when they would have the time to snuggle in bed or snuggle on the couch and open their phone and watch and interact with you. Asking your customer base is going to be the best time or the best place to start, but also finding a time that you know that you or someone from your team can also commit to. So if that's every Wednesday at 7 p.m., let your customer base know and allow them to rely on you that every Wednesday at 7 p.m., they know they can open up their Facebook and they're going to catch you live. And that's going to be their weekly hour with you to build that relationship and maybe purchase some things too, right? Which is just a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we a lot of times we tend to only live when we're open, but you're suggesting after hours when everybody's at home and they have some time to sit down. Oh, I remember my favorite store is doing a live event now to do that because they might be working during the day. I mean, what was it? 72% of live selling is to women.
Correct.
If they're in the workplace or taking care of their kids during the day, they need to have it done in their downtime.
Correct. Yeah. Again, I think that goes back to polling your audience and getting their opinion on it. What you will more than likely find is that they are going to want those evening times after they've gotten home from work, they've cooked dinner, they've put the kids to bed. When they're having their time to unwind at home, they're going to choose to spend that time with you. And that's so powerful. That's so important that customers all over the country, when they could be doing a million other things in their free time, right? They're going to want to spend that time with you in the evenings. And I think that's really important.
And one of our clients actually includes a little bit of wine in their live sell.
Yeah.
Kind of a wind down with some wine, sell some clothes. It's just a way of connecting. People want that connection with another community. And this is just a way of bringing them into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and as you said, it can be new customers. It's not just your own.
Oh, absolutely.
Once you develop your Facebook page, your CommentSold app, or so, you're going to an audience that can be exponential. It's not just the people who come in your store. You can get new people that they realize, wow, this store has what I like, so I want to follow them. And they could watch you. Maybe you do it once a week, but they might watch you once a month. Mm-hmm. And get what they need.
And what you'll find when going live, specifically as it relates to getting new customers on your lives, is you'll find those new customers more quickly as you continue to add in live sales, because we all know, right? Social media has an algorithm. We know that they favor certain types of media. And back to what Nico had mentioned earlier, video is king. And Facebook, Instagram, they have that same opinion as well. And so that content is going to go so much further. Your reach will be so much further if you're producing that live video content. You're going to reach more of those potential new shoppers and continue relationships with your current shoppers.
Yep. And I also wanted to touch on platform for a little bit too. One of the questions that we had in the previous slide, a lot of folks think that maybe this is just a Shopify play, but it's really pretty agnostic, whether it's Shopify, whether you're running on BigCommerce, Magento, your e-com platform really doesn't dictate this. It's more of a social media play.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, CommentSold, our bread and butter is allowing you guys to go live, but you can go live with or without CommentSold. You can continue to sell those products and build that relationship and just be relatable. As Nico said earlier, you really want to be that modern day influencer. There totally is this celebrity type of aspect to it.
Oh, yeah.
I have seen several of my retailers before get stopped at a market and ask for their picture taken, right? Because they have people that admire them. That's real life. And so as long as you're able to provide that value and that relatable content, they will come.
And we've preached this on so many webinars in the past, the fact that retailers in the independent space have such a close tie to their communities. That muscle right there that you can flex in your community is bigger than anything an Amazon or a big box store that's also in your town can do. They just can't get that emotional connection that you can directly through something like a live sell.
Oh my gosh, yes. Actually, when you said that earlier, I was like pulling myself back from jumping in. Again, talking about myths to debunk. Live selling is not just for the big brands because of that exact reason. Small businesses, you guys are so ingrained in your communities and you provide that extra level of customer service. You really roll out the red carpet for your customers. And because of that, you are continuing to excel and crush the live selling game compared to these big box stores because they do not have the connection with their shoppers. They don't have that same loyalty that small businesses do.
And I think the fact that they're trying to onboard a lot of these big box stores and big name brands are trying to onboard this strategy just shows how much they realize they're falling behind in this space. And this is an opportunity for independent retailers to really jump ahead.
Oh my gosh.
They don't get that opportunity too often against the big box stores.
No, not at all. And you guys are already winning, and I don't foresee the big boxes catching up anytime soon.
No.
Well, it's that personal level of being a brick and mortar store. I mean, most people, they always, oh, you're the owner. You know, they love to have the owner help them.
Oh, yeah.
Like on QVC, one of our brands, Vionic, or maybe it's Home Shopping Networks, Liam. Oh, he's the celebrity that everybody buys their shoes on for Vionic shoes. But when you do it for yourself, as a live thing for yourself in your store, you become the celebrity. And then they want to, oh, like you said, you could be home and maybe all of a sudden your baby wakes up and you're like, I got to take care of the baby while I'm trying to do this live show. Well, guess what? Your customers will love it. Oh my gosh, they took care of their baby while still doing business. It personalizes the sell. Because when you look at a web page, all it is like, I'll use shoes because I'm the head of the NSRA. You just see that shoe maybe from some different angles. But when you're live selling, you have it with a dress. Your boutique, you're selling the dress, the shoe. You're showing this is in a neutral color that I can wear with so many different outfits. And so that's where live sell, it's not a static product that's just right there. You're looking at it, you get to see it in person. Like if you're a shoe store, athletic store, if you have a treadmill there, have somebody else put the shoe on, run on the treadmill and show them how it works. And they can talk about all the benefits. Oh, it really supported my arch. It really gave me, it didn't hurt after running 20 minutes and things like that. So, you can offer so much. It's personal selling like you're doing in the store.
Yes.
But you're doing it online. And that's where live, I think, is really growing because it personalizes, like in the store, your sales approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mark and we were talking about this yesterday. And you can really pitch yourself as, so if you're the person on live selling this product, you really want to take your customer through the exact same experience they would have as if they were in your store, they were trying on the shoes, right? They walk over to the mirror, they take a few steps, they turn around, like they kind of look at themselves, they're imagining the outfits, they're imagining where they would wear this item, how it fits, does it slide off their heel? Like we're answering so many questions in our minds so quickly as a consumer. And as the live seller, you're taking your shopper through that exact same experience just over video, and you're getting to slow down and answer those questions for them on live, as opposed to them putting the physical shoe on themselves and walking them through that experience in their mind in a store.
Yeah. Or even worse, purchasing multiple shoes and then returning 80% of them just because they found the one that they like. I think that was one of the difficulties during the pandemic. People were saying, well, my online space is just turning into a digital fitting room, and then I have to pay for returns. Live selling breaks down a lot of those barriers. And like Leslie was saying, it answers those questions before they even buy the shoe. So you don't have to worry about them using their own space as a fitting room.
Absolutely. And they're going to continue to look at you as the live seller, or if you have multiple bodies on a live, they're going to find someone that they resonate with, and they'll take your fit advice. And again, that comes back to just being authentic, being completely transparent with them.
Yeah, that's a great point, especially with footwear. Whoever's doing the live sell can say, I'm typically a 12. This runs a little bit big. This particular brand tends to run a little bit big. That's valuable information for people to know before they purchase.
And that you're using your knowledge of your product. Okay, this fits big, this fits tight, because people always ask, oh, is this true to size?
Yep.
And online, you can't do that. You'll see on websites, oh, an 8 fits a 7 or so, but they're really just looking, oh, I'm a 7, let me get it. And then they're like, oh, it fits big. And they're like, well, we told you that. But on live selling, once again, you are in charge of what you're telling your customer and letting them know, oh, this fits a little bit tight, so you need to get a size up, and recommend that. And I think that's one reason why in one of your slides, I think you got rid of 2/3 of problems for returns. So,
40% reduction,
why, yeah, if you get 40% returns anyway, and you can reduce that another 40%, then you just, sorry, UPS and FedEx, you just made a little less money.
I love it. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And CommentSold specifically, looking at return rates is definitely something that myself as an account strategist, I look at with my shops regularly. And while I personally am not working with anyone who sells exclusively shoes, I do work with several retailers who sell a mix of both clothing and shoes, accessories, kind of an all-in-one type of stop, boutique, if you will. And we see return rates. I see return rates as low as 3%.
Wow.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
So I was going to save some of the questions for the end, but we do have some that are relevant right now since we're talking about return rate. Richie Sainer is actually asking Mark. He said, I'm under the impression the return rate for footwear online was north of 30%. Number one, has that changed? And then I'm actually inserting my own question here. Are we saying that the 40% is going to affect that return rate?
Well, it will, because when you're just doing websites, people, they don't know how it fits. Okay, I'm an 8, but they say it fits tight, so why don't I get the 8 and a 7.5? Then they're shipping back the 8. When you're doing live selling, yes, Richie, return rates can be 30 to 40%. I always remember when they said, oh, Zappos is a $5 million company. I said, well, no, they're really a $7 billion company, because $2 billion is going back. Based on the return rates. But that's where selling live allows you to tell the customer, because in the store, they're trying it on. Okay, yeah, you're right. This fits better. But your return rate would go down because you're able to tell them how it fits. Mm-hmm. Like you could have 2 different people. Okay, this is a taller person, this is a wider person, or something like that, and both size 7, and they can say how it fits them differently. And then that way you go to your whole audience will know exactly what's best, which will in turn reduce your return rates.
Absolutely. And I wanted to touch on one of the things that is on this slide here. When folks talk about live selling, it's not a 4 to 5 minute quick video that you post out there. These are full events, anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. And what Leslie was saying before is you have to be consistent with that. People come to expect on Thursday night at 8 o'clock, I'm going to be joining with this particular brand, and they look forward to it. So make sure that you have content in place for a full 30 to 60 minute slot.
And that's where I guess I asked Leslie, when do you know what the time to do it? It was also when now, but also what is the best time? And that's where I think you said, you might do it at 7:30, 8:30. Us as store owners or salespeople are like, oh, you just extended my day. Mm-hmm. But you can work into that, because once again, you're going to a whole new audience that isn't just your normal customer. So if you're 8:30 on the East Coast, you might be hitting somebody before dinner. Oh, okay, I that shoe store I bought from, they're going to go live, because the next question I'd be is like, how do you market this? Yeah, Leslie, how do your customers market their shows?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. And even going and touching really quickly on just the timing and talking about extending your day, I would encourage you to, on the nights that you're going to go live in the evenings, maybe start your mornings a little bit later. You can always shift around your hours, right, in order to make it work best for you and for your family. In terms of marketing those lives, consistency is key, right? The longer that you do it and the more that you're consistent, they will learn. On your lives, I always push, and this so oftentimes gets neglected, is educate your customers. When you're live, the first thing you should be greeting them with is, who are you? Who's your brand? When can they catch you live? How do they shop with you? Kind of run through all of the basics about who you are and why they're seeing you on Facebook Live, why they're seeing you live on Instagram, making sure that they're educated on that piece. And outside of those lives, making sure that we're pushing out content that also shares what your live schedule is going to be, whether that is a weekly calendar that gets shared, or whether it's just an individual social media post that gets shared the day before or the morning of before you're live. You really want to make sure that you're building that hype and making sure that we're putting the word out in as many places as we can. You can lean into other channels different from social, like text messaging or email, if those are options that you have. You can put in-store flyers, make sure we've got that information captured there, and educate your customers in as many ways that we can, when and where they're going to catch you live.
Yep. Yeah, and leverage those email lists with social as well. You can still upload your entire email list into Facebook and let Facebook match some of those contacts with their database and start running some ads separate from your email marketing as well.
And
Absolutely.
I think somebody else was just saying texting. I mean, if you text and say you're not there, you're waiting at dinner somewhere. If you're doing an evening one, yeah, you text, we're going live in 5 minutes. Oh yeah, I let me do that while we're just waiting an hour for a dinner table or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. I don't have the stat in front of me, but the open rates for text messaging versus email are just staggering.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I would absolutely encourage you guys. If you've got texting, if you don't use texting, I would encourage
that's a whole separate webinar.
Yeah, that's a different webinar.
But absolutely. And I do want to touch on another thing too, that specific to CommentSold. The reason texting works so well is because people constantly have their phones in their pockets. And when they get that little vibration or that little texting noise, it's just ingrained in our systems now. They reach down and look to see who it is. And with CommentSold, the native app that you have for clients on the phone works in just the same way. You can get notifications about lives that are coming up. And if you can own somebody's phone through an app, you've got them as a customer, or at least an engaged brand enthusiast, much more than you would with just traditional social or email.
Oh man, yes. Mobile apps are the most powerful piece that we offer at CommentSold. Social media will always be a great way to, continue to build the face of your brand in order to acquire new customers, continue to build those relationships. But once you have someone download your mobile app and you literally own them in their back pocket, you can stay in touch with them multiple times throughout the day at no additional cost, right? Because push notifications are free. Text messages, emails, all those different things, they cost money. And they're going to continuously open that app to see what new products you have to offer, to see what lives you have. And that can really get into kind of a whole other webinar, really talking about replays and kind of app best practices. That app will hold absolutely every form of content that you push to it for forever, that your customers can reference back to.
Yeah, and building an app is also a pretty lengthy process. If you're talking about development costs, if you're trying to build an app on your own, it's a pretty involved process that can get expensive very quickly. So using something like CommentSold that has this built in is another big win for people that don't have the budget to build a native app on iPhones and Google devices.
Definitely. Yeah, we have a pretty awesome app process where you guys would be able to get your very own brand new branded mobile app within a matter of just a few weeks at no additional cost.
And that's
That-
huge.
yeah, that's great. I know one thing that I was impressed with, and it was in Vegas, and one of the panelists, or maybe you mentioned, Leslie, you have one of your clients, they don't even have a brick and mortar store.
Mhm.
They sell everything from their vendors, and they are doing like $5 to $10 million.
Oh my gosh, yes.
7 figures just through social commerce. Yes.
Just
Yeah.
through social commerce. Yeah,
Social
one of our largest retailers, they're doing about $5 million a month just through social commerce.
Yeah, without having a brick and mortar store. So they're using the leverage of their vendors. We all wish we could do that. I'd hate to see what their margin is. I'd just die if I was like, oh my gosh, that's so good, because they don't have all those extra costs. But one of the so that kind of leads me in. One of the things you have to do is homework. You can't, okay, we're
Yes.
gonna have live today, and you're showing something that you only have 3 things in stock, maybe in certain sizes or in the guts, or if you're a boutique and your best size is a size 8 or something like that. You got to make sure you have product, or where I say you do homework, you got to see maybe if your vendor has it, maybe you get something in if you're doing it new and they still have it in stock a little bit to be done. That's when you can try to sell those items. So there is homework to be done versus just putting it up there and hoping to see what you get.
That's actually a perfect segue, Mark, to the next slide here. You're ahead of the
Oh, I didn't
game.
know that.
I would be remiss for Management One if we didn't talk about inventory planning, because it does affect what we do here at Management One as well. So let's talk about that a little bit. I wanted you to go a little bit deeper on what you were talking about, Mark. How does something like this affect buying strategy, especially when you're sourcing new footwear or some of the lead times with specific footwear vendors?
Well, that's where you have to know good communication with your vendors, know when your shoes or accessories are coming in. So you have to know, and that's where I said you really have to do your homework, because okay, if you get it in, say you get in 30 boxes, well, that might be 30 different shoes, or I don't know how deep that you're buying. I mean, a lot of people now with future orders, you might get in 6 of a size 8 that used to be only 2. You get 2 and count on 4 to be fill-in. So you're getting that right away. So maybe you do your, that's where I say you do your homework. You look at what you have and try to go, okay, we know this is a good shoe. We're going to put this in. We have this amount that we have, but also maybe our vendor still has some in their distribution warehouse. So that's where you'd want to go, because as we said, everything's changing. Okay, maybe turnover is going down now because you're carrying things longer. You used to be able to buy 2 and then just fill in when you wanted, so your turnover was higher, but now you're getting in 6 to start with in a certain size and just selling down. But you need that for the whole season, because based on your, looking at last year and your models and things, this is what I need in this shoe. If I feel strong enough about it, then I'm going to buy heavy in a certain sizes now.
Yeah.
Or if you have other stores, you can always maneuver that around. I mean, this is just for a single store boutique or shoe store. If you have more, then you can go, you can steal inventory from different places.
That's true. And I wish we had Mary on this as well. We had one of our retail experts, Mary, on the live panel in Vegas. And it was funny to watch her with our client, Allison and Amanda, because they go back and forth about how the live sell affects their merchandise forecasting and open to buy planning, because it's such a wild card. They could have a product sell out immediately in the first 30 minutes, something that they had set aside the next month of inventory for, or they could anticipate a heavy buy and maybe it doesn't sell out as quickly as they would want it to. So it really does impact the open to buy and merchandise forecasting. And to that, I would say it's really just more of a conversation to have with your retail expert. It really gets you involved with how the retail expert is going to plan that particular month. And it's worth investing a little bit of time explaining how the live sell model works in your business to see how they're going to plan for the next 60 to 90 days out.
And I think that was what Amanda said in Vegas during your seminar there, is that sometimes you don't sell well on a live and you're like, oh, this wasn't good. But then next thing you know, you advertised it. They're going to come into your store. If you have your loyal customers coming in, then they're going to come in and go, oh, I saw that one shoe. I didn't want to buy it online, but I'm here. Let me try it. And once again, it's advertising now. versus don't
Absolutely.
be thinking live is, oh, I only did this much volume in it. You have to say that you're talking with your customers, and it's an advertisement as well.
Yep.
Mhm.
ROI is not always a direct sale.
Right.
Totally true.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to save time. We do have a lot of questions, not only in the questions panel, but in chat as well. So I do want to take a little bit of time to run through some questions here. So let's just scroll to the top. So somebody was asking, so Beth is asking, I apologize if this was discussed in the beginning as I had to log on late. Is there a general rule for how often clients of yours with a smaller size boutique, one location, maybe host a live event? She is thinking that maybe weekly might be too much. So what would be kind of an ideal? That's probably a good one for Leslie.
Yeah, no, that's a really great question, Beth. I would say if you feel as though right now weekly would be too much, then back off a little bit. Maybe you could only do once a month. Start with whatever the bare minimum is that you know you can commit to time-wise and both product-wise. I would recommend that over time you do work that up. We do see that going live multiple times a week, which probably like feels a little painful right now. We do see that having those multiple lives a week is going to be the best for you and for your business. Because you want Facebook to honor that content. We know that Facebook honors good engagement. We know they honor that live content. And so I definitely would encourage you to work up to that if you can. However, if you can't do it right now, everybody's got to start somewhere. And so start with where you can now and then slowly build up your schedule.
Absolutely.
It's a great question.
Well, but once again, market it. Okay, if you're only going to do once a month, market it. It's like I know when I had to open at nights, okay, well, and I was a seasonal place. Okay, finally this year we stopped doing nights in June. Then we did it in July, then August, and then we end up being open year round in nights because it depends on how much business is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're completely correct. If monthly, say that you can only commit to going live on the first Wednesday of every single month, really just make sure that you don't let your customer base down and that you are getting that word out there in every which way possible. So that way everybody knows that first Wednesday of the month, you'll have as many people showing up for you as possible. And I encourage you, as you guys are getting started into live selling, reach out to your closest family and your friends. Ask them for their support and say, hey, I'm going to be trying this thing for the first time or the first few times. Do you mind just jumping on and asking some questions, engaging with me, just giving me your support? That will really help, not only your content, right? Because they're going to be leaving comments and questions. So that's going to help your engagement, but it will also help other people who were jumping on for the first time not feel maybe so shy. It'll encourage them to jump in and participate in the conversation as well.
Yeah, and once the ball gets rolling, talking about that celebrity mentality, ask some of your actual customers, would you want to come into the store and do a live with us? Do you want to try on some shoes? Do you want to maybe test out this new brand that we have coming up on a treadmill? People love the opportunity to be in front of the camera. So I think it would be a fun, engaging project to do with some of the clients as well. I think that would be fun.
Oh, heck yeah.
And you can always offer a free pair of shoes or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
As I said, it's a very low cost. You're doing Facebook Live or Instagram, it doesn't cost anything. You already have it. You get the following. Then use CommentSold later when you grow your business to really refine that network. And there was a comment on here. Somebody has, Leslie, could you recommend one company that you think that just does it? Most of the people probably in our audience don't do live selling. Can you mention one company you think that these guys do it right? We should follow them.
Oh, Allison.
Yeah, Allison, I think is a great person to watch. Allison from Jules and James. You guys can look her up on Facebook, download her app in the App Store. Would encourage you to do that. And that Jules, it's Jules and James. Definitely would recommend checking them out. They do a great job.
Okay.
And talk about authenticity. Was it Allison that had the one of her lives? She was in a bathtub.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about getting authentic. That's one of the reasons that her audience is so hyper engaged, though, because she's not afraid to just put it all out there and do things that are completely authentic to her, and it really resonates.
Well, I think we should define it a little bit. She started in the bathtub, not that we just see her, but then she gets out, the towel was for sale. Then she was, oh, these are the soaps I walked by. I mean, it was scripted very well.
Yeah.
This is how you can buy all of these products. I guess she does home goods as well. And so that's where it was just very unique thinking of how to do this.
And she did that, you guys, in her bathroom at home. So again, I think that also points back to what we talked about in the beginning. You don't need a crazy setup. They want to see that relatable content. And Allison, she is so true to herself. She has 2 young children. You may even see them make an appearance on her lives from time to time. She may also be running 15 minutes late, right? Because somebody was crying. I mean, and that's real life, and that's all content that most of us can relate to.
Absolutely. There are some folks that have also expressed the fact that they just don't want to be in front of the camera. I know Mark mentioned it's always best to have the owner because people love connecting with the owner of a business. What would you say to the business owners out there that just simply don't want to be on camera? They're not comfortable with it and they just want to delegate this to a teammate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's okay. While typically the owner performs the best in most instances, again, because of that celebrity kind of mentality, people love to see you and meet you. If you don't want to do it, that is really something that's just not in your wheelhouse. You'd rather stay behind the scenes. Find somebody who wants to go live. Find that personality who can be really intimate with customers in a virtual setting, who's a really great salesman and can build those relationships. Find that person and allow them to be your live seller.
Yeah, we just did a webinar last week on talent acquisition. So when you're interviewing new associates for your store, make sure that's part of the interview process. Make sure that there's questions about how comfortable they would be in a social setting. Are they an outgoing person? Is this something that they do in their own personal life? Maybe you want to recruit somebody specifically for the task of live selling, and that's something that you should absolutely include in your interview process.
And if you do get that top salesperson that wants to do it, you work out your compensation from it. Okay, if I will give you your commission based on all these sales, and some of your people are doing $2,000 in 1 hour or even more. I mean, if I was a guy making commission, I'd go, okay, that's worth it for me. Then if not, I'm the celebrity of the store. Because when I was in the store, my staff is their first point of contact. I'm in the back, I'm paying bills, I'm ordering things, doing everything that a store owner has to do. I always said, my front staff is the people to handle the face-to-face. I'd get up there and get caught, and people like, oh, is Mark in? And then you have to go up and you get sales. But I try to turn it over back to my salespeople. That's their job, to sell. Because I remember one of my guys said, well, Mark, you took that customer and just kept on going. We're commissioned. You're taking sales away from us. So, one of the things of live selling is use your salespeople. And then maybe they'll want it. They'll see, wow, that guy's getting a lot of money from selling live. I will do it, if they're a little inhibited about doing it first.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really great. That's spot on.
I know we've addressed part of this, but I did want to touch on Anne's question here, because this is something that we've heard from as well. Folks that have a small following on Facebook and they're a little bit afraid to go live because they feel like it's just going to go to their followers. How can you address smaller social media channels that are really just kind of in their infancy, trying to grow their follower base? How would you respond to getting the word out there? I know we touched on using other channels. Is there anything else that they can do just to get that initial foot in the door?
Definitely.
Or alleviate concerns, as nobody's going to come.
Definitely. Yeah. I think the harsh reality with social media sometimes is time is your best friend. We can't grow our followings overnight. However, one thing that's really, really powerful, especially lately, is creating shareable content. So even outside of your live, we've all scrolled on Instagram or Facebook and we've seen, something that's funny that we want to send to a friend, or we tag a friend in the comments. I would encourage you to take that, pull it over into Canva and recreate a branded version of that and share that on your social media. Really lean into that shareable content Also make sure that we are putting content out there that we know will be favored by that social media platform. So again, going back to video is king. Maybe that's not always you going live all day, every single day, but creating pre-recorded videos. Pre-recorded videos of you trying on a particular pair of shoes or a styling session. On Instagram specifically, we're seeing amazing engagement in IGTVs and Reels, right? Which is basically Instagram version of TikTok. So really leaning into the content that is performing the best on those social media platforms, because that's what's really going to extend your reach at the end of the day versus just a static post.
Yeah.
You have to use the algorithms of those things. Get your employees to at least turn it on, so that way all of a sudden Instagram or Facebook goes, wow, there's a lot of engagement here. Have them like things, have them watching, and then the algorithms will make things start coming to your site, and then you can grow your site. It's like everything else. You open up your store. What do you do to get people in there? You have to market differently, and you didn't get a lot of people the first day because they didn't know you, but you have to just get engagement with people. And the more you get engagement, like everything else, when building your website, you had to have keywords. The same thing. You have to have something that's key for people to see on your live videos. Get your employees to look at it and just get excitement about it, and then it will grow.
Absolutely. And just to expand on that piece even a little bit, Mark, if you are posting something to a social media platform that's showcasing a specific product, and maybe you can't purchase it off of that post specifically, like an Instagram reel, making it really, really easy as possible for your customers to find that product. So maybe that looks like making sure that your website is linked in your bio. And then when they go to your website, you have a collection titled As Seen on Instagram.
Yep.
And it's a running collection of every product that you have featured there. You don't want to send customers to your website and then they're deer in the headlights because it's like, oh shoot, what was the name of that product? Now I'm having to search for it. And then you've actually got to get them to add to their cart and check out with it. So there's all these different hoops they have to jump through. And the more hoops that we can eliminate, the way easier that conversion process is going to be.
Absolutely. And you own that video now. So if it's a particular branded product that you used in that live sell, put that on the product detail page on your website. It's just another bit of information that can help reduce that return rate and just educate the customer.
Absolutely.
I wanted to also touch on something that Rita Mitchell, hello, Rita. Rita Mitchell said that if a live stream focuses on one particular vendor, that vendor might actually give you co-op money, or at least maybe a giveaway. That's a great point.
Oh, yes, I love that. And especially as you guys are going to different shows and events, one thing that's really fun that we see a lot in the retail world is bringing your vendors on camera with you, right? Letting your shoppers really see you're the face of your brand, and this is the face of that company that partners with you, that you work so intimately with to provide really amazing products to your shoppers. And so even bringing them on camera can be so fun, and it kind of brings a whole new layer of entertainment and excitement to the video that the customers react positively to.
Yeah, I mean, you can have scheduled live sessions. Okay, say I'm 7:30, but go next Tuesday, we're going to have a trunk show of this vendor, and watch us at 9 that morning. And that person can show all of their product just for the people who can't make the trunk show.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, technology has just made it so easy for us to get to our customers.
Oh yeah, you can meet them where your customers are at. I mean, so quickly, just by opening your phone.
Mm-hmm.
The only other question that I see here in the chat, and it could be something for offline, maybe I can connect Leslie and Robert together, but Robert was asking, does CommentSold know of any clients using the platform in Mexico? This isn't just a US-based company, is it, Leslie?
As of right now, unfortunately, it is.
Okay.
I do hate to say that. We are actually working on expanding and going international. So as of right now, we don't have any retailers in Mexico. I'm so sorry.
Robert, find us some.
Find us some, yeah.
Well, you can, but I'm sure there's problems with currency and different things. I mean, you have to develop a whole different platform on that. I mean, we have members that are in Canada, and I can't get them credit card discounts or certain things just because different banking laws and things. So
absolutely, yeah. There's it's a lot of work to go international, but it is definitely something that we would like to do this year.
Yeah.
So we're coming for you, Mexico. We're coming.
But you can still, that's for you at CommentSold, but you can still do it on a Facebook or Instagram for your clients.
Totally. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. In fact, live selling is incredibly popular in Latin America specifically. I mean, you can take your social media with you anywhere, all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
We've obviously, live selling really started and continues to really dominate in China. The US compared to China is actually late to this game.
Oh, very late. Yeah.
And so absolutely, I would encourage you, regardless of where you're located, to still continue to utilize live selling, even if that means outside of the CommentSold platform.
Yeah.
And final question, Cherie is asking, is there an app that will do Instagram and Facebook Live at the same time? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you do have that capability in CommentSold.
We do, yes. So if you are working with CommentSold, you would use our broadcasting app. It's called the CommentSold broadcast app. And through that, you would be able to go live currently on your Facebook group, your Facebook business page, your branded website, and your mobile app through CommentSold. So all 4 channels using that one device. And then later on this summer, we will be releasing Instagram Live and TikTok Live. So we'll expand that to 6 channels here in the next 3 to 4 months or so.
Love it. Something to look forward to.
Yes. Great question.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to be mindful of the time here as well. We are a little bit past our 11 o'clock stop time. If anyone does have any questions for our panelists that maybe we didn't get to address here, I will be including their contact information in a follow-up email with the recording as well, because we did have a couple of folks that said they joined late and might have missed some of the beginning here. So absolutely get that out by hopefully the end of day today. I wanted to thank all of our attendees here for joining us today. I hope we helped you at least structure a strategy that'll be successful for your business. And I wanted to thank Mark and Leslie as well for donating their time to the session here today.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. And I wish you guys the best of luck on your live sale journeys.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll do a follow-up.
Contact us if you have more questions.
Yes.
Absolutely. Please do. Yeah, we could do a follow-up in 6 months to a year, and maybe we'll have some success stories from this one webinar here.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can get Allison from Jules and James to be one of our panelists.
I would love it. Well, thank you so much, folks, and I look forward to our next session with the NSRA that we haven't scheduled it yet, Mark, but we're going to get our pencils sharpened and get the next NSRA webinar scheduled for Q2. And we look forward to seeing you all there.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
All.